Good afternoon and welcome to the Voice of the People with myself, Mr. Fangs, and my co-host, Mr. Chief. How's it going there, Chief?
Fantastic, Fangs. What up? How you doing, man?
I'm awesome, man. Glad to be back. Glad to be back on Independence Year. Yeah, no, 55 or 10.
About 50 plus 5.
Plus 5.
Yes,
Hey,
yes.
ne go na le plus 1, plus 2,
yeah.
5. Yeah, no. And because of that, we figured we must have a patriotic motion.
Yeah, we're talking about languages, whether native or Setswana, ne puo officially. Hela mo Botswana, I get it.
Hey.
Recently, I think last week, something interesting that happened. One of the ministry, I think it was of basic education, passed a motion or a resolution. They're going to start teaching students up north in their native languages, Gobonghabe and things like that. So that's sort of the background
of the topic. That's right. And that's the idea. So se re batlang gore se discuss ke gore should Setswana be the only language used to teach students and also as the only official language for business. So how kwala di kontraka yana ebe nna di kwadilwe ka Setswana.
How ya go court in Setswana.
Ko parliament
police buiwa Setswana
hela wa bona di affidavit tseno wa bona ke yona kgang ya rona ya gompieno because after 50 years, it's important to evaluate and look at identity ya rona as Batswana.
A me sure yone re ka khona go dira yotlhe hela ka Setswana.
Kana ke one mathata a teng mochibana wa bona re palla ke gone mo hela already gore ke puo ya rona. It's the first language I spoke, I'm sure you as well, and yet we feel more comfortable speaking in English. So what we want to do, we're going to have that debate, that discussion, but we also want to bring in a guest. Now this guest is from Malaysia, and in Malaysia, in 2008-9, that country decided gore le bone ba batla go implement a proposal ya mohuta ono. They decided to start educating all school children in Malay, right, which is their national language. Kaba change from standard 1 to form 5, as long as you're not in English class. Urutua kasi Malay, whether it's science, whether it's history, whatever.
These are government schools.
Exactly.
So go to government in Ebua hela or go to haule mo Malay o tsana mo sekolong sa gormente urutua ka se Malay.
Ka se Malay ka re ke one puo ya rona wa bona. So we want to bring in our guest Pragash Vasudevan to come and give us some analysis gore ha ba ira yona proposal eo ko how did it work out. So I'm just going to bring him in now. Pragash, can you hear me?
Hey guys. Hey Fangs. Yeah.
How's it going?
I'm able to hear you. Not too bad.
Fantastic, man. So as you've been hearing, we are discussing whether or not Setswana should be the only official language for business in Botswana and for education in Botswana. So I wanted you to tell us, look at me speaking Setswana to you. I wanted you to tell us how that worked for you guys when you guys tried that in your public schools.
Yeah. I heard a bit of the intro about what happened in Malaysia. I think the way it's been going, we actually initiated this somewhere around the 60s, and it was a very gradual transition. I think the goal there was, I'm assuming, the goal is similar to what the government of Botswana is trying to achieve here. It's to get more people to actually speak the national language or to speak one language, and for nationalistic interests, I assume, to unite people, to form an identity, and to not rely on, I guess, the influences that came from, the countries that colonized us. Now, when I started schooling, everything all school instructions were given in Malay, except for obviously the English language was taught in English. And I per se, I don't think my Malay would be as fluent as it is today if I did not get the opportunity to actually, learn Malay in school. And it was not just it's not just about having a subject called the Malay language. Every single subject, be it math, science, geography, everything was taught in Malay, and that kind of gave an importance to the language, and it kind of gave me an extra incentive to actually learn the language. And you don't really have a choice in the public school system. I personally was not a huge fan of it because, I was not really comfortable. It was something completely new to me. I think I was around 7 when I started picking up the language, just for the sake of, being able to learn these subjects and speak to my mates at school. But as far as the goal of the government, they kind of achieved it. Although recently, though, as is the case with public schools, if you allow the government to dictate these policies, they can change it whenever they see it fit. So somewhere around 2004, they felt that the command of the English language is suffering, and as a result of that, they decided to start teaching science and math in English instead of Malay. And then they went back in, I think around, uh, I think it was around 2012, they went back to Malay, and recently there's a discussion to go back to English. So this is what's been going on. So my personal opinion on things was, I think it was really useful because I still speak to a lot of my friends, all the way back from high school and my primary school in Malay. And the main reason for that is because of how much of an importance that the language was during our schooling days. But
Right.
personally, I would have loved to have the choice. For me, it's
Okay.
language is a tool. That's just my personal opinion and things. So I would have preferred to have a choice.
See, now, what I want to ask about is, see, you aren't ethnically Malay, right? You're ethnically
Yep,
Indian,
yep.
which is why, like you're saying, you started learning Malay at age 7. Before then, you were speaking other language clearly, right? So, what I want to know is, how effective was this policy? Because it was aimed at bringing together national unity and giving one culture, like you said. How effective was it on you to make you feel more Malaysian?
I think it was very effective. I'm obviously able to, well, most importantly, I'm able to converse in the language, but more importantly, a lot of the other aspects of bringing national unity. For example, whatever we do during Independence Day, be coming up with slogans, taking part in competitions, um, watching Malaysian shows, taking part in everything to do with the Malaysian culture, using a common language to bridge that gap. Because we are an extremely multiracial country, we do need to find a way to bridge that gap, especially in terms of culture and language. So picking one out of the many available languages was the most important thing, and it worked for me. It really worked for me.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And the final question, I just want to ask,
Yeah.
how difficult was it for you to transition from being educated completely in Malay throughout your secondary education, and then you went to university, which now is an international institution, so everything's taught in English. How easy was it for you to make that transition?
Well, it wasn't. It was fairly easy for me. I was pretty comfortable with English, so it was not a big deal for me. But I know a lot of friends who struggled a lot because of that, and I think that played a key role in the government deciding to change its policy somewhere around the late 2004, 2006, to initiate a transition back to English as being the primary instruction for some of the heavier like science and math, and economics. And the reason for that was quite simply because at the later stages, a lot of students who, eventually traveled abroad for opportunities, be it employment opportunities or universities, they struggled with English a lot. And according to the government, this was probably because we put so much importance on the Malay language that we had to find a way out of it. And the way out of it was to at least have some subjects based in English. I find it difficult. I think that's because experience in both languages, so I was okay with it. But obviously, a lot of people would struggle unless, of course, it's something that is done. Legislation, that it's going to be official language throughout
Okay.
in
Yeah.
universities,
Sorry,
in private
Prakash.
universities, and so forth. Yep, yep.
Okay, sorry, bro. That it seems like the line is cutting for the last couple of minutes there, right? But I really loved
Oh, I'm
your
so sorry about
insight,
that.
particularly you explaining like what impact this had on you as someone who's not ethnically Malay, but who was able to identify with that Malaysian identity. So thank you very much for your insight, bro, and
No
hope to have you
problem.
back on the show soon. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for inviting me on the show, and take care, guys.
All right. Cheers, mate. Take care. Bye bye. All right. So that was really interesting from Prakash, the chief, wasn't it?
Aring Prakash.
Eh, kore na ong khatla ka gore, like the same reason why we came up with this motion is exactly said na bua ka sone. Gore are in Malaysia, they were aiming to create a sense of national unity and culture because I get why it's merahi abone imalwanyana. Wawana. And they thought to do that by giving one language that everyone can speak. And he says until he started getting taught in Malay in school, he didn't speak Malay, he didn't identify with that identity.
Yeah, because Malaysia, it's ethnically divided along those lines. You know, there's
Racial lines.
racial lines. There's the Chinese Malays, Indian Malays, and then the ethnically Malay Malays. So when they did this, I think that was the idea. You know, this whole national unity. Yeah, no, rona mo Botswana, we share similar sort of tensions, right? Because Ghana, we are sort of divided along tribal lines sometimes. Honale. Those from the north and all of that. But, we want to engage with the comments because
That's right.
what we always do, we encourage you guys to engage with us. We want to hear your views because this is the voice of the people. So we put this out there as a question. And here's what you guys had to say, right? We're going to read some of the comments. We have a comment coming in from Mpapi Ndubo Are. I remember my study group at UB. Whenever things got tough, the Kalanga subgroup retreated to crack the problem, while our partners went out to arrange food and refreshments. Believe you me, the retreats where I and the Kalanga met, we found the solution and translated for everyone else in the larger group to understand. Everyone needs to be able to default to their mother language at one point in time to address certain issues, despite numerous languages one may learn. That language is the deepest expression of life at primal level and needs to be supported and developed. So basically what Mpapi is saying is, when there would be group discussions, the Kalanga group would retreat, okay, problem re tackle yang hela ho buiwa ka skala ka hela and it's interesting that's how they found the solution. So could it be like it helps you think better when you're speaking in your native language?
I wonder about that. I imagine what language do you think in? How you think in Kalanga? Then naturally, how bala a question you have to translate it first to Kalaka and then start figuring out what that question is, so that's and I think you would remember how that's why there were distinctions in things like English as a first language, English as a second language. The distinction isn't about how clever you are. It's just about what one person has to go through the effort of translating the question first before I araba, whereas the other person doesn't. And clearly, as this Mpapi is saying, it was easier for the Kalanga students to be able to discuss and process that question, Kalaga, and then translate it.
Okay. Another comment coming in from Brave Armstrong. Hey, when I don't know, Setswana should not be spoken at all because there are so many languages in this country which was wrongly named. English should be the only language to be recognized. Then there's a reply. Brave Armstrong, wow, recognized among Botswana black people. Both English and Tswana are okay, not cut Tswana altogether. Among 80% of people who speak it and are Botswana by birth and culture.
See, that's interesting. That.
You see?
Hey, that's interesting that because we've since independence, Setswana and English have been our national languages. Me, in practice, English is the official language.
Yeah.
How police, how about the penal code?
No, but I get it. They give you options. Like you can, for example, how ho dira matshwao. O kgona go kwala matshwao a Sekgowa le a Setswana.
No, that's true. Hale they'll make accommodations. But milao, the penal code, the constitution. And that's the whole thing. Now you can't even understand the laws that govern you unless ubua Sekgowa.
Okay. Let me read one more comment here coming in from Lucas Kauvi Ari. Na Setswana ha ke se rate gotlhelele, ha ke se rate. Ha ke se rate. Ke moherero. Setswana can't link me le ditšhaba tse dingwe economically, technically. So ke motlapa fela po as long as it takes space. Yeah, puo ya me. I think narwa puo. This is bullying. It's bullying our native languages. You see, that's another interesting one. That there's so many native languages. There's parts of the country. Ko sa buiweng Setswana teng. Ya ka bua gore ene ke moherero. Ha o tsena gone ka kubu karakarungu kwa. Ha go buiwe Setswana. So you wouldn't be alienating all the other languages.
I mean, that's interesting. I just don't know if it is because already right now, under the status quo, I can go to Ben Tema or GSS and take a class in Seherero. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying like we're not trying to, I don't want to push those languages any further. In fact, I think that they should be offered as a second language instead of French or whatever else we be doing.
No, but that's what he's saying is he feels like it's bullying now because now you're imposing it on him that everywhere he goes, and like his language you're out there.
Hey, ke a mutla comment engwe before
give a comment
Kolia Chingabi Kyo are our own languages should be used with English. We should not use Setswana only as if it's the only language in this country. A child should choose the mother tongue in school and then English. There's no need for a Kalanga child in Northeast to be taught Setswana. What for? He should learn English as a second language from the mother tongue. How do you feel about that? So what Collier is saying is Setswana has to talk really high. It's not the language of your tribe.
Hey. Basically, it's not functional to you.
Hey, when all you and then second language in this because like the previous comment said, you can interact internationally in English.
Okay. Let me read one more comment. It's a live comment that just came in from Kumkani Lame Norman Sepe Are. Naka akanya gore ga gona ditsela tsa go somarela le go rotloetsa puo ya Setswana ntleng le go kganela kanamo le tiriso ya puo tse dingwe. Re le Batswana segolobogolo ka re lemoga thata gore kgolo ya rona e mo kopane but hey man le dipuo tse dingwe tse di tla re thusang go tla tisa komano le batho botlhe ba mahatsha a mangwe. Okay, but basically what she's saying and because it's a very long comment, the gist of it is that there's other ways that you can preserve culture other than just making Setswana the official language, because that's usually the idea. I get it, like rutile ko Malaysia, gore they wanted to instill that Malaysian culture, gore batho ba feel gore they are part of society. But is that the only way that you can get people patriotic and supporting the culture?
I wonder that. I wonder that. And, you know, maybe we'll discuss this a little bit more after the break. But I just wonder, what better ways are there than language to preserve culture? But we'll get to that after the break.
From the moment we wake up, we step into the shoes that are ready to conquer the day. Places to go, people to see. But there's no stopping this beauty. So let go and be free to celebrate your confidence. Take control of your day with Legends legendary wave products to keep your wave sensational this season. Apply wave control evenly over the waves to keep your hair soft, smooth, with a gentle shine to give you the confidence you need to change the world. Live your legacy in style. Ease into the smooth wave of the day and become unstoppable. Be legendary with Legends Barbershop, living your legacy in style.
Welcome back to the VOP product review. This is our favorite part of the show, isn't it, Chief?
Yes, Mr. Fang. This is the People's Product Review. Also a chance to shout out our sponsors who make this show possible. So shout out to Legends Barbershop and shout out to Le Africa. So what have we got from Le Africa today, Mr. Fangs?
Well, you know what I want to tell our viewers about this Shea turmeric soap, right? Because I've been using it for the past 1 month, and turmeric, it's called que Shea butter, que turmeric. Let me even read all the ingredients just so you know. Yeah, 100% organic, no additives, no chemicals, no anything, man. It's shea butter and turmeric. You know what I mean? And it's a cleansing and exfoliating bar soap for all skin types. For my skin type in particular, because Nagamoto with oily skin, right? This is like the first time in my adult life where I don't have to wash my face every 5-10 minutes because it's so oily and shiny and so on, right? I'm not getting the same sort of marks and spots nyana on my face, you know what I mean? I mean, y'all can see me, right? I'm sure you can see the difference. Hey, hey, so this stuff really helps, like, I don't even know what the technical terms are, but I know that it really helps like my skin.
Exfoliate.
Hey.
I think exfoliate.
Exfoliate to just make my skin less greasy, because that's really what I wanted. And up until this, I haven't used anything, any soap on my face, literally in over 10 years, because everything reacted with it.
Dope. Well, I have shea butter. I've been using this shea butter particularly for the day, for my beard, you know, because some Hagana beard oil. So somebody, Le Africa recommended I use this shea butter for my beard. And you know, it's actually the differences, and this is a genuine review, like how soft did it soft they're not as like, they don't frizzle up, because you know after klapayana the shea butter, it like retains the moisture, you know, so it keeps them nice and soft.
So they are camera.
Yeah, camera. So you know, I get like a nice, you know, cut, go Legends Barbershop, and then they tassa the shea butter, you know, like everything like works out.
Be looking fresh, bro. Be looking very, very fresh. So I'm very grateful to Le Africa for like this stuff.
Yeah, they also have some hand sanitizers, because Ghana, it's important that we also
all the time
carry hand sanitizer everywhere you go. You just keep it in your pocket. Now
That's
everywhere
right.
I go, get now, like,
O na ntse o riana hela wena, ga ke batle tsa ko dishopong. Hey, how we
Conversation
can...
for another day. Conversation
Anyway,
for another day.
thank you very much to Le Africa, and a particularly special day today because it is the birthday of the founder of Le Africa,
Yes.
Miss Lisa Kesale. So thank you very, very much for being our partner, and happy birthday. We hope you enjoyed the show. All right, so let's get back to it, Mchiwana. Kana ne ke santse ke re ke a go botsa gore go hana varvar is you'd ask you'd ask me, and I'd pose the question back to you, gore. Is Setswana, is there a better way to retain culture than language?
Okay. I think, look, this is where I'll just state my position clearly. That, I don't think Setswana should be the only official language. I think it's fine the way it is, with English being an official language as well as Setswana. I think the two are mutually exclusive. You can promote the culture, so ke tla go lwana gore kgona go promote culture yang things ke ra re tla le ba go mahatsheng a tshwanang le bo France go ileng gore they still want to retain their identity as French people, but they are open to foreigners coming, tourists coming, and things like that. So there's always a dual language, in terms of like when people are interacting, like motropo and stuff like that, signs are written in French and English. But now they retain their culture in different ways through celebrating things like Bastille Day, right? Which is like a historic day where there was like some battle or something.
The storming
like that.
of the Bastille, yeah.
The storming of the Bastille. There's so many other examples. Like Lorna mo Botswana, to kgona go promote our culture, hala ka go ithuta ka, for example, like there was the Maswanya thing, the Lesoma Memorial, right? The one that's commemorated every year, where there was soldiers from Rhodesia that stormed some Botswana troops. Good, telling our stories. It doesn't matter what language we're telling our stories in. It's how we can preserve our culture through things like encouraging national heritage sites. We have so many great sites in Botswana. For example, these three Haba caves, right? And it doesn't matter what language you are showcasing these things. It's about what that translates to the people. What do these caves mean to Batubahola? And whatever language you're telling that story in, I think it's fine. The main reason why I believe like we need to have both languages is because, I don't know, honest the hell, English is the most easiest language to do international trade in, right? Look, I'll give you an example. One hour just recently at this Dubai Expo, we wanted to get coverage from the likes of BBC, and that happens through interviews happening in English. It's fine. It's all well and good to have a translator there, but then also it limits you in terms of the networks that want to cover you, because there's a reason why BBC have their wings. They do BBC Arabic, BBC Mandarin, BBC Pidgin, so that they can be specific to those audiences. But now if you want to appeal to a more global audience, that's what you do. And like I said, the reason why Al Jazeera English is because they've realized that as much as, the Batubagoku, where's Al Jazeera from? Qatar. They want to preserve their Qatari culture, but there's an element that they need to say in English so that they can reach a global audience. So, man, we need to interact with people beyond Botswana. We can still speak Setswana. Let's keep both languages out there. Thanks.
Okay, fair enough. We've got one comment here from Molatliwa Tsiro. Are ke ka mo China e tsweletseng ka go dirisa puo ya bone fela. Dilo ka bontsi ga o di sheba di dirilwe ko China. And I like this point of his, right? And that's where I think my position is, where I stand. English isn't the only international language spoken. The only language spoken internationally, right? The language you buy, and ibile you find you can go and study Mandarin, right, and get a degree in Mandarin. You can't get a degree in Setswana. You know what I mean? And that's because China as a country decided what we're going to push more than anything else is our language. We will speak our language, and we will get other people to engage with us on our terms. That's what the French did. That's what the Portuguese did. That's what the Spaniards did. That's what the Germans do. Now, this doesn't mean that if you live in Germany, you don't speak English. Germans speak really good English, but you won't find a German, you're saying German. And that's the problem, because more Botswana, you will find Botswana. Baba says in Setswana, born and bred in Botswana, right? You go to schools, and children feel more comfortable expressing themselves as opposed to po yarona. And that's where I think the problem comes. It comes from a sense of perception that they aren't as good. They aren't as quality, right? You're not as developed. That's the only language you speak, then you're not going to go far in life. These are the connotations that people associate with Setswana. That's why you even read some of these comments, what am I going to do with it to make money? And that's because we, the country of the Tswana people, right, named after the Tswana people, we don't value our language as much as we should. That's why even in Parliament, we don't speak Setswana as entirely, right? Half the time it's in English. You know what I mean? In court, everything's in English. Our laws are written in English. You know what I mean? So we don't have a pride over our own language. And that leads to our lack of, that affects our identity. He felt more Malaysian after he could speak the language. It's the same thing. Sure, our stories can be told in any language. You can tell the story Hachiwele in any language. But when you know Setswana and it's being told to you in Setswana, it feels like your story. You own it. It's ours. It's not some story that you heard. Similarly, when I was studying Shakespeare in high school, I didn't relate to that. It didn't feel like my story. It didn't feel like my culture, right? And then you start wondering, where are we going to learn it? You know what I mean? And by the time I was writing my Form 5 exams, I'm so much more proficient in English than in Setswana. Because I do Setswana one class only, whereas English is every other subject. So that's just to kind of wrap up my speech, is this idea, Botswana is a nascent national identity, right? The nation of Botswana has existed for 55 years. And our idea of ourselves as a nation, maybe 100, 150 years old. You know what I mean? We're a very young nation, and we need things that can tie us all together and say that, Lona, you all have the same thing in common. And that thing in common needs to be different from what people in South Africa or in Zimbabwe or in the UK are doing. And the easiest thing to name as ours is our language.
Yeah, it's interesting how our stories can't be told in other languages because, there's this show that's been trending called Squid Game, right? It's a Korean show, but it's in English. Now, the writer of the show recently came out and said, when you actually translate it to English, a little bit of the storyline loses its meaning because there's some expressions that can only be expressed in
Korean,
native Korean. So there's something there. But let's just wrap up the show with checking out some of these comments. Because there's quite a few comments that we always appreciate your comments, so we're gonna try to get to them before the show ends, which is in about 5 minutes. This is Sam Higuama says, everyone willing to know other languages should be at their own discretion, not being enforced, but have English as the official language and the mother languages as national. Yeah, you see, this is what this Sam is saying here. It's like, look, don't force it on anyone. So don't make it such that when you go to a government school, just keep it the English the way it is now. and Setswana on the other side.
There's actually another comment in support of what you were arguing, Ibile Chief. I can't see, unfortunately, gore e kwadilwe ke mang, but it says language. Which culture are we preserving here? We are a multicultural society. How would speaking Setswana preserve my Herero culture? Unless you mean the Setswana speaking group's culture. And I think that's where you were getting towards. And some of the commenters have said this as well. If I'm Mokalaka, if I'm Mokhalakadi, if I'm Moherero, then this isn't my culture, right? It's the Tswana people's culture, right?
But then what's that got to do with what you're learning? Because you're learning about mathematics, so why do you have to be culturally attached to the numbers?
You see, now this is the interesting thing for me.
But wait, just before that, here's this guy's comment, Sam Hikuama, which I think is directly onto what you're saying. When I was at school, I used to think in Herero, I would read in English, think in Herero, take to Tswana, then to English. So basically, that's what you're saying. There's a whole mind. That's what the delay is called.
That's the idea. It's this delay in processing, right? And I don't have a problem with it. I just think, the language for the Tswana people that should be most intuitive to them should be Setswana. And actually, comment there in it's actually by Ujanda Wright, who says, which criteria are you using to choose Setswana as the official language? What I think is this, right? There are many countries which most countries have multiple ethnic identities within that, right?
Yeah.
But then you pick an identity that says this is us. And whether or not, whether or not we got to choose it, we were born long after independence, right? So we didn't really choose what our country would be called, what all of this stuff, what the official language is. But this is where we find ourselves now. So are we going to unify ourselves over Setswana, Seherero, Sekalaka, or Sekgoa, or any other language? And to me, the logical language to unify ourselves around is the language which is native to the majority of the population.
Okay, well, yeah, as my final thought, Fangs, I think we were living in a more globalized society. Nowadays, even all of our products, we're trying to sell them overseas. So you need to be able to, relate with people more. I'm not saying just because you speak Setswana you can't, but it's better if you have, you don't limit one, because you don't necessarily have to suppress English for you to promote Setswana, I think let's just wrap up the show with one more comment here. From Tsepiso Nwako. Botswana should be English natives, non-natives, whereas English are everywhere. As for Setswana, it should be an official language. Last one from AP Sean Patima Arleteng Masiman. Setswana si siame as the national language and should be made official language. Furthermore, we need to teach native languages according to the areas they are vastly spoken in a third language, which is what I agree with.
Yes.
Right? Where you are, as well as English. You are in Kasani, as well as English, you see.
I agree with exactly what that comment was saying. You know what? It doesn't make sense that we have French as a second language being offered, right? The second language should be
All right, and with that, Mr. Fangs, I think we can wrap up the show.
That's right, right. See you all next week, Tuesday. From myself, Fangs, and Mr. Chief, this is Voice of the People. Goodbye. You forgot.
I swear to you, I know feet explain. The things you do, they drive me insane. Girl, I swear to you, I